here. So today I want to do a blog about relationships and time limits within a relationship. So every woman out there, well, not every, but most women out there have this whole fantasy of wanting to meet the man of their dreams, Prince Charming, get married to him, have children with him, start a life with him, move into a place together, everything that you kind of just naturally want as a woman. When you're a little girl growing up, you imagine your wedding, don't you? You imagine your wedding day and who you're going to marry and what children you might have and everything like that. And obviously nowadays, a lot of people just cohabit, so like they don't get married. They kind of just live together for like 10 years, no children, just happily cohabit together for 10 years as a couple. Before they know it, they're like late 30s and they're never getting married and probably never going to have kids. And that's what some people like and enjoy, and that's fine. But me, for example, and I think a lot of women out there do have this, so all the women out there that know 100% I want children, I want to get married, I think they all have a time limit. So what I mean by time limit is basically you put a time limit on a relationship. So me, for example, I have a certain amount of years. So 5 years, 4 to 5 years, that's my time limit, 5 years. So if I meet a guy, I expect within them 5 years to be engaged, married, move in with him, and be pregnant or have a child. I expect that within a 5-year time frame. I think a lot of people have these time limit things, and I think it's not that you're putting, it's kind of like, yeah, all right, you're putting a little bit of pressure on a relationship, but the way I see it is, if you're with someone and you know 100% you really want to be with that person for the rest of your life, you really want to marry them, you know it's the person for you, okay? I just think, if once you know, you know. And I've always thought to myself, if a guy still hasn't even proposed to me and we've been together 5 years, is he ever actually going to propose? Because he's had 5 years to work it out. I mean, say you're not even living together, you're not even living with him, and it's been 5 years. I mean, I'm not talking like teenagers here, like from like 16 onwards. I'm talking people in their 20s, like mid-20s. Obviously, teenagers, they're not going to move that fast in a relationship. So I'm talking people my age, kind of like 24 onwards. If you're in your mid-20s, you've met a guy, you've been together 5 years, he's still not living with you, he still hasn't proposed to you, I would fuck off. I would go. Because I'd be like, hang on a minute, we've been together 5 years now, you know what I'm like, you know everything about me, you should know by now, within the 5 years that we've had, that you want to be with me. Either you want to be with me or you don't. And if you do, I just think after like a year or 2 years you would have proposed. Not taking 5 years. And so after 5 years of being with that person, if nothing's happened that I want, I would disappear. I would break up with him and I would leave. Because I know by a certain age, I want to be married. I want to have more children. I want to do certain things. And I just think I'm not going to waste my time in a relationship with a guy who 4 or 5 years down the line still hasn't even got his act together and still ain't even proposed to me. I ain't going to waste my time with that shit. There's another man out there. I want to find a husband. I'm not looking for a guy just to fuck around with. You know, no one's getting older here. No one's getting younger here. Not older here. No one's getting younger here. I'm getting fucking older. But I just think that a lot of women actually do have these time limits, and they might not actually sit there in their head and think, oh, I have a specific time limit. If I'm with a boyfriend and he hasn't proposed by X amount of time, I will break up with him. I don't think it's specifically like that, like in set stages. But I do think that every single woman out there that knows full well they want to get married, they want to have kids, I do think they have a certain limit in their head. And they may not know it as much as to say, like how I do, where I go, oh, 5 years is my limit. Within 5 years, I want to be getting married. I want to be married, proposed to, and having a child with the person. That's my thing. That's just me. A lot of people might have different limits. Someone else could have 10-year limit. You know, it varies by person. But I think a lot of women out there, subconsciously or consciously, do have a time limit. And I think that it's kind of like, it's probably not men as much. Men, I don't think, have any time limits. They kind of just go with the flow and whatever. But I think a lot of women out there do have these limits in their head where they kind of think, I mean, you hear it all the time where a woman says, oh, I broke up with him and the relationship weren't going anywhere. What is the point in wasting 10 years with a man who has got no intention of ever doing anything more than being with you? Like, what is the point in that? You've been together 10 years. You're still in a relationship, but you're not engaged. You've got no intention of getting married. You've got no intention of having kids. No intention of even, I don't know, maybe not even living together. What is the point in that? I mean, I get everyone has different opinions and everyone does things differently, but I'm just speaking on my opinion and what I think for a lot of women. I think a lot of women do have subconsciously time limits in their head where they're thinking, especially women that haven't got kids that know they want children. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to think, you can only biologically have children up to a certain age. There's a certain point you get to where you physically can't have children anymore. Men can have kids forever, do you know what I mean? But women can't. You get to a certain age and all of a sudden your chances of having a child completely decrease. And I think that is why a lot of these women do subconsciously have these time limits in their head. They're trying to look for a partner that they know is going to give them what they want. So, for example, I want all my kids by 32. And I want quite a lot of kids. So, you know, especially since what's happened to me recently with all the precancerous cells in my cervix and that, it kind of puts a little bit of perspective on things, and you kind of realise maybe I've been taking things for granted where, like, having children and that, you kind of sit there and think, oh, you know, I can have kids forever, and then something like that happens, and all of a sudden you think, actually, no, you can't. Like, in 5 years' time, I could, you know, potentially not have any children anymore due to my health issue or due to whatever, you know. And I just think that a lot of women do have these time limits, and I think men need to kind of work with that. Like, if you're with a girl and you know you want to be with her forever, fucking propose to the bitch. I mean, what are you doing? Like, I don't get these men that go, oh, I love her, I want to be with her forever, but I'm never going to marry her. Well, if you know you want to be with her, and if you can have children with a woman, you should be able to marry that woman. This is what pisses me off. So many men are quick to have children like that. Have a child, have a child, have a child. A child is a bigger fucking commitment than a marriage. A marriage, you can get divorced and never have to fucking see the person again. With having children, you're attached to that woman for the rest of your life. So how is it these men are able to go around having all these children, which to me is a bigger commitment than getting married, but then they'll meet a woman of their dreams and they won't marry them because they're scared of commitment? There's too many fucking commitment phobes out there at the moment. It's pissing me off. Like, my boyfriend, for example, if he doesn't do what I want him to do in the next 5 years, I will leave, because I'm not satisfied with what I want. I know what I want in my life, and I think a lot of women are like that. And yeah, call me fucking a bitch or putting pressure on a relationship or whatever, but that's just me. And if I'm with someone and that person can't give me what I want, then there's no point in being in a relationship with that person. If you love someone, I think that you know straight away, I want to be with this person. So if you really love that person and you know you want to be with them, why have you got a problem with marrying them? I don't get it. I don't get all these commitment phobia people at the moment. But they're quick to jump at the chance of having a child. But the minute you mention marriage, oh, fucking hell. So yeah, back to the main conversation is, do you have a time limit? Like, I want to know, like, put comments on my YouTube channel as a woman. Like, do you have a time limit? Like, is there a time limit where you kind of think, right, if I'm in a relationship, I want to be at this stage of the relationship within this time frame? And I think a lot of people do have that, and I think a lot of women aren't open enough about it. And I think you need to tell your partner that. I mean, I've told my boyfriend, do you know what I mean? I've said to him, this is my time limit. You know, I haven't given him the exact years, but he'll probably watch this now and know. But I've said I have a time limit, and I just think that's a good way to do a relationship. You know, not pressurise it, like, not to the point where you're like, right, marry me, it's been 3 years. You know, not like that. But I just think every woman has a certain time frame where if a guy hasn't proposed to them or hasn't married them within that time, they just sit there and think, well, is he ever going to? Because it's already been this amount of time and he's had no intention of doing it. So why is he going to have an intention now? Do you get what I mean? So I think it is good to be open about it and kind of just say to your partner, you know, where do you see us in 5 years' time? Or What do you see for the future? Because the worst thing is spending 10 years with a man, getting to like 35, and then you realise, hang on a minute, I've been with this man who's maybe cheating on you, lying to you, whatever else. You know, I've been with him for 10 years now. He's never changed, which I thought I could change him. He's never changed. He's still not proposed to me. He's still not interested in marrying me. And I'm 35 now. And I've wasted 10 years of my life with this fucking idiot, where I could have been actually out there with a guy that had a lot more intentions for a relationship with me and maybe wanted to marry me and wanted to have children with me. But I've wasted 10 years with this twat. And now I'm 35 and realise it. I'm going to break up with him and move on. But time's getting on now. I'm nearly 40 and I haven't had a child yet. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a good thing to have an open, should we say, an open time limit on each relationship. And I definitely do. And I just think a lot of women do have that. And they just don't admit it. So that's my vlog for today about relationships and time limits. And let me know if you guys have a time limit, like how long you were with your boyfriend before he proposed to you or whatever. But yeah, I just thought I'd do a little blog about it, because a lot of people were like shocked when I said, do you have a time limit on your relationship? People were like, what do you mean a time limit on a relationship? I'm like, well, do you have a time frame of where you want to be with this guy? And if he doesn't comply with that time frame, are you going to think about finding someone that might want it? And a lot of people were shocked when I mentioned it to them, like to my girlfriends. I'm like, oh, what's your time limit with this man then? And they're like, what do you mean time limit? What are you talking about? I'm like, what, you don't have a time limit? So maybe it's just me, I don't know. But I think subconsciously a lot of women do have that in their heads. And that's why women are always sitting there going, been together 4 years now, where's my fucking ring? Or why are we not married? You know, so yeah. Mwah.